Hey everybody, welcome to Still City Fandom. It's me, Don, and Justin, and what are we talking?
Talkin Anime.
Oh, you love it. It's your favorite show. Everyone's favorite show. Why are we talking anime so soon?
I have finished the 118 episode Water 7 arc.
Oh, what a surprise that you're flying through these fucking shows. I can't even get these shows out in time. They're so coming in so fast. So we're continuing our One Piece journey. Justin just finished the Water 7 Saga, which consists of, Long Ring, Long Land, Ocean's Dream, Foxy's Return, Water 7, and then finally Enos Lobby. This is the first time you got some filler with Boss Luffy, though, right?
Yes. Yeah, Boss Luffy and
Terrible, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll tell you what though, the Boss Luffy ones aren't as bad. Well, no, I'll take that back cuz I actually kind of liked the I don't know what they were called. They were like when they're kind of like little characters and they do
Chopper Man?
Well, no, it's not Chopper. Well, I've seen Chopper Man in there, but the early ones, it was like each character got their own. Like there was one where Luffy was a mob boss.
Like a real mob boss or Boss Luffy type stuff when he's in Japan?
He was a little mob boss.
I don't know what I must just skip fucking past all of this shit.
They were it was called like Straw Hat Theater, I think is what it was called.
Oh god.
And they were real short. They were like the end of episodes. It was like
okay.
Like instead of credits, you got these little things.
There's lots of filler in this arc. Lots of filler. Lots of strange filler too. Like out of nowhere. All right, so the Water 7 Saga technically picks up after the Skypiea stuff, and they come across that Long Ring, Long Land stuff, which is kind of weird. This is really considered a lot of filler, but some people like it. I mean, I guess when they first get there and they have the guy that they're trying to help, and then Foxy shows up. I hate Foxy.
Foxy's annoying.
He's terrible. What's his goofy ass laugh? He has a bad laugh too.
I don't
remember.
Do is
Gecko Moria right now.
Yeah, I think I blocked Foxy's stupid laugh.
He has the slow beam, which isn't a bad weapon if you think about it.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool the way, and he uses it pretty effectively.
Yeah.
Because like he'll hit him with it, and then he'll go punch him 1,000 times, and then all the punches just hit him like all at once when the power wears off.
When the slow beam wears off, he's just annoying. This is all that Davy back fight stuff that they do, which is real weird.
Yeah.
This was just like it's like downtime filler arc stuff, but I mean it's part of the story because you keep seeing Foxy returns a few times, but yeah, nothing really exciting happens here. I'd say the only thing that anywhere in Ocean's Dream or Long Ring, Long Island is that you meet Admiral Aokiji for the first time.
Yes, Aokiji's cool.
Aokiji's real cool. He comes to the island. He basically tells you that he doesn't trust Robin, and you shouldn't trust Robin, which as a viewer, puts a lot of doubt in your mind that like maybe Robin is gonna turn on them because she was a villain. Now, if you're watching this and you've already been spoiled by looking at like, oh look, I see Robin's part of the crew down the road because I see posters and toys and statues. But I think if you were watching this originally in the beginning, this probably, what Aokiji says about her has to really put some doubt in your mind.
Yeah. Yeah, and then, especially going into when they finally get to Water 7 and what happens there, which we'll get to in a few minutes.
I love when Luffy tries to fight him and he freezes Luffy, freezes Robin. This is also one of my favorite Luffy moments when they go back to the ship and they put them in the hot water and they're trying to like revive them, and Luffy wakes up and he's just in one of the most goofy, stupid modes. He's just swinging around the ship, bothering everybody, and then they finally wake Robin up, and Nami says, "Robin, are you okay?" And she's like, "Yeah." And she's like, good. Well, Luffy's been up for hours now, swinging around the ship like an imbecile, acting like an imbecile. And you see him in the background just kind of like bothering people, attacking Zoro. He's just a goof. It's funny though. But then they're all okay. They get past the Davy back stuff. It is cool when Aokiji freezes that ocean, has that whole family walk across it to the next island.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean it's just kind of an example of how powerful he is.
How powerful an admiral is too.
Yeah.
I like when he's like, now calm down, don't go getting fired up, and like
he's just so like laid back and so cool. He just doesn't care. That attitude, he kind of reminds me a little bit of Shanks, because that's Shanks.
Laid back.
Yeah, just super laid back, and nothing gets under his skin. And
I forget what arc it is, but there's a time when they call Navy headquarters and they call Akiji's office, and he's just laying on the floor taking a nap with a pillow. And then they're like yelling for him. He's like, okay, like he just doesn't care about anything.
Well, every time you find him, he's sleeping. Like when you first find him, he's asleep.
And he's tired often. Maybe expels a lot of energy with that ice fruit, whatever it is. It's like the exact opposite of Ace's fruit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ace with the flame, him with the ice, Ace can become fire, he becomes ice. They're very, very powerful Logia users. So that's cool. And then it leads you into Water 7. I thought Water 7 as an island perspective, is a really cool place. The way it looks, how there's all those canals, you have to ride those little, I forget what those animals were.
Oh, yeah, it starts with a K.
Whatever, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I can't remember what they're called, but yeah, those things are kind of cool.
And the place is cool. The way everything works there. You meet Iceberg, who's like the mayor of the town. Yep. I think Luffy must call him Ice Pops or different weird names that isn't his name over and over.
It's Ice Pops mostly, but then you forgot the first person they meet there is the Kokoro, the old grandma lady, and Luffy calls her Monster Grandma.
Yeah, Monster Grandma, and she has the little girl and the little animal,
the little bunny, and they are the little girl and the bunny are so annoying.
They make all those weird noises, don't they, over and over. You learn about the train.
Yeah, the
water train,
which is
sea train.
Completely ridiculous.
That's not how physics works. Or heavy ass train on a floating track. So you get into all that. They come across Galley Law, who basically the point of this is they realize the Mary is getting broken and they need a new shipwright. Some people were torn on this, some are not. When the guy from Galley Law with the square nose, I always forget that guy's name. He's weird looking though. He looks like Pinocchio. Kaku. When he tells them they need a new boat, that this boat's not going to make it. And then Usopp gets really pissed off, like really mad about it. And I was like, how far are they going to take this? And then he challenged Luffy to a fight.
Yeah.
But I didn't mind their fight because it just showed you one of Usopp's strengths is how well he pays attention.
Yeah.
So he knew all Luffy's moves and what Luffy was going to do, and he had traps all set up for it, And then Luffy was obviously holding back till finally where he's like, all right, I'm going to beat the fuck out of you now if you don't stop.
Yeah.
And then he quits the crew, and you're like, wow, this is weird. And then Robin goes missing, and you're like, geez, they just got everybody together. Now they're all like, having troubles again. It's a good setup. I enjoyed the Water 7 part. I like the introduction of Frankie and the Frankie family. A lot of good characters.
I was not a fan of Frankie in the beginning at all.
And I guess for me, going into a lot of these things, knowing that there's a Frankie action figure out, like I knew he was going to be a member. I think if I didn't have a lot of knowledge of what was about to happen, I think I would have probably hated Frankie too.
Well, the funny thing is like I knew he was a member of the crew, and I still was like, how are they going to redeem this character? That's what I kept thinking the whole time was like, how are they going to redeem this dude?
Yeah.
Like the shit that he did. I mean, so after they, I can't remember where they found the treasure, but they had was that was from the end of Skypiea, right?
Yeah, they had all that money. They turned it
Yes,
in for like 3 million berries or something like
300
three
million
hundred million
berries.
berries, right?
And they're carrying it around in 3 suitcases, and of course 200 million of their booty gets stolen, and it's the Frankie family that steals the money.
Yeah.
And then you meet, well, they don't really show you Frankie. He's got some kind of a weird outfit on when you first see him,
Yeah.
so you don't know how weird looking he is. And he takes the money and spends it like right away. And
Yeah.
you're like, what the hell? He just took all their fucking money. How do they redeem him? And it comes around.
That part was so annoying because as a money person, I'm just like, oh my god, hold on to this money. What are you idiots doing?
Yes.
Why is Luffy carrying any of this money around to begin with?
Yes. Yeah, that was a little tough.
Yeah.
And then Usopp feeling like personally responsible for it, trying to go and get the money back on his own, and he just gets his ass handed to him.
Ass handed to him. Yeah. And then I see, and this is just another thing of like why I love Luffy so much, because like even though he was mad at Usopp and Usopp's out of the crew, he was pissed that Frankie beat him up.
Yeah.
And he's like, you ain't beating up my friend. Like even Zoro was mad, even though they're like, we're done with you. You're out of the crew. But they're like, he's still our friend. He may not be our crewmate anymore, but like, you ain't gonna do that to our guy. Like,
no, and they go and completely level Frankie family's house.
They do.
And that was another point where I was like, okay, so even if Frankie redeems himself to the crew, how did they redeem themselves to Frankie? We're like completely blowing his like spot up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's different. And I enjoy the whole part where they're like, can't we just go get Usopp and tell him it's okay? And Zoro's like, no, he quit. And then he stood in front of the door and pulled a sword out and was like, our captain said he's done. Like this isn't a game. When you say you're a part of this crew and you're following your captain, when you tell your captain you quit, you quit.
Yeah. And he even had to like argue with Luffy because Luffy was like, I don't care. I just want him back.
Yeah. And you're like, no. Which I think is really cool to show Zoro's growth, because if you remember, Zoro was a pirate hunter.
Yeah.
He didn't like pirates. He hunted down pirates. And now he is one, and he's like, this shit is serious.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like we don't just tread lightly here on this,
Talks about, loyalty and honor, and that, listening to your captain matters.
Yeah, it matters.
Even if Luffy is a doofus, what captain says goes.
Yeah. Did you like the history of, Tom, the Fishman, and Frankie and Iceberg and all their... You get a big, long history lesson there of how...
Yeah, that was awesome.
I forget the guy that's an asshole that works for the government with the mankind mask on.
Oh, starts...
Been a while for me. Anyway. That antagonist dude, he's a pain in the ass, that guy.
Yeah, and he's... Well, Spandam, Spandam.
Okay.
He was kind of the leader of
CP9.
Yeah.
Well, he was kind of the head official, and CP9 was reporting to him.
Yes.
Spandine. He was the chief. So you get introduced to Cypher Poe in this. So Cypher Poe is kind of like the CIA of the government. And there's different versions of them. CP9's the one group. There's CP1, CP2, CP5. They all handle different special missions. The big turn here was that you met the Golly Law guys, and there was Rob Lucci, who was like just this nice guy with a pigeon on his arm.
He didn't talk. The
He
pigeon
didn't talk.
talked for him.
Yeah, he just was quiet, and then you find out he's the head of CP9. And
Which, talk about a flip.
that was a surprise. Yeah. And then the other guy was with him. Then the rest of the Golly Law guys, they're like, every time in this arc, I thought these guys were dead. That was the only problem I had with this saga is I thought the Golly Law died like 15 different times.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Because the Cyphered Poe guys turn on them, and then they look like they just killed all their friends, And you think, who's the guy that's the leader of Golly Law?
Paulie.
Paulie. So they turn, and you're like, oh, Paulie's dead. Like they just killed him in the hallway. And then the other guys that are remember, especially the one big dude that had the beer, his name was Tilestone. I'm like, oh, he's dead. They killed him. They killed all these other guys. They gotta all be dead. There's no way they're alive. Because the secretary girl, that Khalifa girl.
Yeah, it was Kaku, Rob Lucci, the secretary, and then Blue something, the barman.
The bar guy, yeah, the guy that was the head of the bar.
Yeah.
That was Bluno.
Bluno.
Yeah. You find out he's a part of it, and they just turn on everyone, which is, I was like, wow, that was fucking crazy. I didn't think that all they were in on it.
So, well, let's talk about Paulie for a second. Okay. How the hell do his ropes work? So
I have no idea how his ropes work.
So for those of you, if you haven't watched the show or if you're not here yet, so Paulie doesn't, they never talk about him having a devil fruit. They don't talk about him having any kind of weird powers. He's just a good fighter. But he has these ropes that just come out of his sleeves, and he controls them like he's goddamn Spider-Man. That was the only thing. I wish we could have gotten some history on where, what that was. Because that's not a normal power. Kaku fought with the chisels. He was a decent swordsman.
Yeah.
Bluno was just big and strong as shit. And Lucci had, the six. Well, they all the CP9 guys had the 6 powers.
Yeah.
So,
which I was trying to find what the real name for that was. 6 styles. It's Rokushiki. It's 6 basic techniques and a secret 7th technique that only a true master Rokushi can achieve. Yeah, there's the different levels of it. So just looking through here now of other people. There's a lot of people that use this shit. Yeah, so it's basically just different abilities. They do the air walking one where you can kind of walk on air. The iron body, the finger pistol thing.
Yeah.
It just basically ups their game that they're really good. They're really dangerous. And, anytime, like a lot of other shows, anytime they introduce something new, it seems unbeatable.
Mm-hmm.
Rob Lucci does that finger pistol, and you're like, God, how are you going to beat that? Oh, he one-shotted Luffy across the fucking island. Man, these guys are intense,
Well, Lucci also has a, is it the cat fruit?
It's the leopard version of it.
Yeah, the leopard version of the cat fruit. Yeah, and he just one-shots Luffy 3 miles through the air.
Puts some claws in them, throws them through the air. So yeah, they're a bad group. I mean, you see the one guy, Bluno, even is able to open those doors. He has the door fruit.
Yeah, which that one's weird.
Yeah, it's like teleporting.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah, that's all it is.
And then you find out they have 2 new devil fruits. One goes to Kaku and one goes to the secretary, and I cannot remember her name.
Khalifa.
One goes to Khalifa.
Hers was weird. What was it? Bubbles?
The bubble fruit or something like that.
She made everything shiny.
Well, it was basically soap. She touched anything she touched, got a sheen of soap over it, or turned into a bubble.
She touched Nami, and Nami was all bubbly and stuff.
Yeah, that was weird.
It was weird.
That fight.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that fight. Kaku becomes a draft.
which
weird.
is so stupid, and everybody makes fun of it, and he's so self-conscious that he's
Yeah.
trying to, like, every time he talks about how cool the giraffe is, you're like, yep, just keep telling yourself that, buddy.
Yeah, like it's not cool. You're a fucking giraffe, for Christ's sakes. Oh, what did I just do? I lost my place. So yeah, so they did that. They set up the big bad. I mean, they steal Robin. This is also where we get introduced to Sniper King.
Yep.
From Sniper Island, which I
The
had told
song.
Justin. I had told him, I was like, "Did you get the Sniper King yet?" And you were like, "Who's that?" You know, like, "What's that? That sounds like a cool name." I'm like, "Oh, he's like one of the world's greatest heroes." And you were like, "Oh, cool, sweet, can't wait to meet him." And he is. I mean, it's so great when they're showing that music video of how great Sniper King is, and then you hear he's just kind of quietly singing to himself. Is what the rest of the world is seeing. Usopp's a nut. Frankie's like, "What is he doing?"
Well, and the other funny thing about that whole thing is that Luffy and Chopper have no idea that it's Usopp.
Yeah, because they're just two of the world's biggest idiots. And I honestly think to this day they still don't know.
Yeah. So my question: does Usopp ever put the mask back on in later things, or does he just uses his new long slingshot?
Kamiko. Yeah.
Without putting the mask back, because I think it'd be great if he put the, like, 100
I don't want
episodes
to. Not
down
a big
the road.
spoiler, but there's a time they come across some people that are impersonating them, and they impersonating them as there's a knockoff Sniper King.
Oh God.
Which of course fools the other two idiots easily.
Oh no.
And I believe his wanted poster is him as Sniper King.
Okay.
I think you saw that. Didn't you see their wanted posters at the end of this arc?
Yeah.
Sanji's was a
drawing, because
yeah,
they didn't get a picture of him.
And Usopp is in there as Sniper King.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like kind of happy that he's famous, but they don't really know his name, you know.
I kind of wish, so I have the Usopp figure. I kind of wish there was a different head that you could put the Sniper King mask on him.
Oh yeah.
That would be a cool variant.
When he's singing that theme song with Chopper and Luffy, it's so hilarious. And he's just embarrassed. He's embarrassed. He doesn't want to leave his friends. He doesn't want to like not go save his friends, but he like can't face them.
Yeah.
Because he's too embarrassed, even though it looks just fucking like him. He just has a mask over his head.
Well, his fucking nose goes through the mask because it doesn't even fit behind it.
Yeah, it's so great. That big ass nose.
Don't die.
Just coughing.
So yeah, so we get the intro to Sniper King, and he pulls off some fantastic shots. This shows that Usopp is actually a really good sniper.
Oh yeah, he's the best. So they get on the train and they steal Robin. I like the train battle stuff where it's Frankie, Sanji, and Sniper King trying to convince Robin, trying to save her, trying to get there. They get captured, of course. I do like in that scene where Usopp, as Sniper King whispers to her, "Believe in Luffy."
Yeah. Yep.
And she's like, "I just want to die. I just want to die. I just want to die." You really are like, man, the Robin's really fucking depressed at that point.
You get Robin's whole backstory.
Yeah. How she was on that island of scientists and everything they were doing, and the government came in and had them all killed.
Yeah, they did the Buster Call, which is 10 ships, 5 vice admirals, and they just level whatever their target is.
Yeah. And she was saved by that giant, Jaguar D. Saul.
Who was a former vice admiral for the Marines, and he gave up because of the Buster Calls. He didn't believe that was that was justice.
Yeah.
He thought that was wrong.
And Aokiji doesn't believe it either.
Yeah.
So he saves Robin. Kind of lets her go so she can get away. But then when you see everything else with Robin, like she'd find a family, they'd adopt her, and then they'd be like, we don't want nothing to do with you. They'd find out who she was, and they'd be like, oh, you're that demon child, and they'd
Yeah.
leave her. She had nobody.
Yeah.
She had no family until like Crocodile found her, and they started like she started joining, Baroque works and all that.
Yep.
But yeah, she has a terrible life. She's just so depressed. It's really sad. They do the train, they get there, and then finally they set up the big thing that, this united front of the Frankie family, Galley Law, and the Straw Hats have to invade Enos Lobby, which is a fortress.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, they have to invade it. They have to go save their friends. They find that other train. What was it, Rocket Man or whatever?
Rocket Man train, which I think was the original prototype that Tom built.
It was. This is also where you see when they're driving Rocket Man and big waves coming at him, Zorro cuts a wave in half.
No, he doesn't cut it in half. He just cuts a hole in it.
Cuts a hole in it. Yeah. Like it's nothing.
There's the big. Don't forget about the big ass frog.
Oh yeah, that's Yokozuna.
Yokozuna.
Yeah. The big frog that just rams the train over and over. And that they tied it in because like he hated that train. He missed Tom.
Because that's the train that took Tom away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so everything gets a story that makes sense. The Frankie family has two of those animals that you ride, but they're giants. So they're big dinosaur water monster.
Sodom and Gomorrah.
Sodom and Gomorrah, that's right. How could I forget those names? And I think this part's great when they show up at Enos Lobby. I believe Luffy takes off ahead of everybody for this one too.
Of course, they're trying to formulate a plan of how they're going to attack, and Luffy just does his gum cannon thing and blasts himself over the wall. And all of a sudden, I can't remember if it's Zoro or Sanji, but they're like, Luffy's already gone, isn't he?
Yeah. They do those moments a lot. We're like, he already left. Yeah, he left. Because they even said in that, do not go on ahead. Like we're gonna make a plan when we get there, and he just two arms, boom, right over the wall.
And then he's just casually walking up to these giant groups of Marines, like, "Hey, can you guys get out of my way so I can go through here?"
Yeah, I like that he keeps saying like, "I'm not giving up on Robin."
Yeah.
Even though everybody's like, kind of like, well, she wants to die. She doesn't want to be here. He's like, nope, I'm not giving up, or I'm not giving up on her. They fight the giants. They go through all that other stuff. They go through a ton of shit.
Well, yeah, and then and again, more tie back. You find out that the two giants were part of the crew that the two guys from Little Garden, the two giants that were fighting the 100-year duel, they were the two big giants at Enies Lobby were captured by the Marines, and they made them work there to work off a 100-year debt.
Lying to
them that their crew, that their captains, I guess, were dead, and that they had nothing to go back to when they didn't. And Usopp, or Sniper King, I guess, is the one that tells them, no, they're still alive. I saw them. They're still fighting their duel.
And they're still fighting their duel. So yeah, it's good. I mean, everything that they turn, everything they do. I mean, how many times did you think they killed Sodom and Gomorrah, the two dinosaurs?
Just
they fall to the ground. You're like, oh, they're definitely dead, and then they're like not dead, and then they are dead. Mr. Ropes, Paulie's fighting with his stupid ropes. You still think I thought they were gonna die 100 times.
Well, in the fight on Water 7, like before they make their escape to go after Robin and the CP9 crew. In that fight, Lucci does this finger pistol thing to Paulie like 7 times.
Yeah.
It's like 8 gunshots to the chest, and he's still alive. What?
Yeah. And not only was he still alive, he was ready to go on a mission.
Yeah.
I love how much Paulie hated the outfits that the girls had on.
Oh, I know. Pure Paulie.
Yeah. And then when those two squarehead girls were into him, he was like freaking out.
Yeah. Oh, the squarehead girls. Oh,
Mhm.
God. The backstory on how Frankie found them is hysterical.
I thought that was good.
I did too, but
Like
it's,
the what? Like you think that's what I mean with that. You thought they were like just these two dumb girls with these weird heads. And then you find like the one was like an alcoholic and like had all these issues, and Frankie was just like, I'm gonna He basically got her off drinking.
yeah.
He's like, I'm gonna give you some
You
cola.
two are too young to be drinking like that. You want something to drink? I'll give you some cola.
I'll give you some cola, and then they just love him after. Because Frankie saved all their lives. Frankie is the nicest guy.
He
Like,
is.
you think he's such a prick in the beginning, then you're like, no, he takes care of all these people.
Yeah.
Like he's been taking care of them for the longest time. All these people that were just the worst of humanity and nothing that people threw away, and Frankie takes them all in.
Yep.
So that part is good. So this is building up to the episode that I told you I couldn't wait to see you were at, where CP9's on the other side. They got Robin. They're about to take her up to that bridge, bring her over. What did you think, before we get to that, about how the gates of justice work?
I honestly, even after watching it, I'm still a little confused.
You got to get
the
the
Gates
Summit.
of Justice.
You got to get the Summit War for that. It'll make
'cause
sense.
It almost sounded like, to me, it almost sounded like it was like a portal. Because there's only two places you can go after you go through. You either go into the underground or the undersea prison,
Impel
or you
Down.
can go to the Impel. Oh, that's Impel Down.
Yes.
Okay.
So
you
there's
can either
3
go
gates.
there-
There's 3 gates, and Impel Down is in a comm belt.
Okay.
So it's in the middle of the comm belt. And then the way the current works there is like there's Enos Lobby, which is like, that fortress where all the ships are. And then if you go through the gates, when the gates open, the water spins like clockwise in there, the current.
Okay.
So once you enter that current, you can go to Impel Down, or then you can go to the Marine Ford. Marine Ford is where all the admirals and it's the head Navy base.
Okay.
So you can only go in that circle. And when the gates close, all that like crazy water, like current, like as soon as the gate opens, all that water current's pulling you that way. So it's a quick way to get to Impel Down from Enos Lobby. Once you go through that gate, you're there in like 10, 20 minutes or whatever. It'll speed you instead of like having to go through. You really couldn't get to Enos Lobby any other way than going through that gate, because it's in the comm belt. It's in the middle. It's surrounded by Sea Kings. So like this is the way you can go.
You mean
through
Impel? You couldn't get to Impel Down without going through that gate.
without going through Enos Lobby. Yeah.
Yeah.
Enos Lobby or Marine Ford. Yeah. So and then that's what they mean. It's like once you go to Impel Down, they never see you again. That's why they thought like if she goes through that gate, she'll end up in Impel Down. It's an underwater prison. She's in there for the rest of her life. So prisoners that go in there, you never see them again.
So we can talk about this next. My question later, because
no, go ahead.
So I've moved on to Thriller Bark.
Okay.
At the end of Thriller Bark, I've seen the Saga names. Did they go back? Did they backtrack to Eni's Lobby?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
There's a reason.
Okay. All right. I'm good.
Well,
as long as
you already saw in this arc that there's a scene where Ace and Blackbeard fight.
Yes.
Okay. You saw that Ace lost.
Yes.
Blackbeard. Ace has been captured.
Okay.
So there's a reason for the Straw Hats to want to go to Enos Lobby.
Okay. All right. That makes more sense.
It's a rescue mission arc.
All right.
It's a fucking crazy, fun, wild adventure. But when they hear about certain person being there and things that are going to happen, they're like, hightail it that way.
Okay.
So,
all right. That makes sense.
You'll figure that all out once you come across it in 3 days when you get there. So yeah, that's the thing with Enos Lobby is like it's kind of like the processing center for criminals. We're going to go to Enos Lobby, and then if you're found guilty, then you're going to go through that gate. And that's where Robin wanted to go. Put me in that fucking jail. Let me rot and die there. Because they are not like nice to prisoners in Enos Lobby. There's not like, hey, you're in prison. It's like, you're here, you're done.
Yeah.
6 layers of hell. So, yeah, they're on that tower. They're ready to sort of process Robin over. And I think we get one of the best moments in anime on this bridge of when she's like, just let me die. Told you I don't want to be there. And then he yells, and then Sniper King declares war on the government by burning their flag,
which is awesome.
With a great scene. And they basically say, fuck you to the government. I mean, he in that scene where they say something to Luffy, and he's like, bring it on. Like, I'll fight all of you right now. And they're like, oh shit, the Straw Hats just declared war on the government, which you don't do. I mean, even Whitebeard never declared war on the government. It just kind of coexisted with them. So they do that part, and then I think it's a great moment where she kind of realizes, like, goes through her life, like, someday you're gonna have friends and all that, and then she chants out the iconic line that she wants to live. Not only does she say I want to live, but I like when she says,
"Take me with you.
Take me with you. Take me away from here. I don't want to be here anymore with these bad people." And it's a tearjerker. It's a great line. Like, anybody I've ever watched do a reaction to that line, when they say it, they're like, "Oh man, that's a great line." You hear the cracking in her voice,
the emotion in the voice actress's voice. It was fantastic.
And the best part about it for me is after that happens, when she says that, you see Luffy kind of like grin.
He just grins. He does his grin.
He does like a grin, and then they all like kind of do their like okay, like Zoro has to pull the sword out once, Sanji lights another cigarette.
Yep.
And then Luffy crunches his hands, and it's like, okay, you guys are fucked now. Like, they're coming for you now, because now they have that little motivation,
Yep.
And then this leads right into all these fights, which I think all these fights are good because they shift it around a little bit.
Yeah, you kind of, from episode to episode, you go from one member of CP9 to the next, and each of the different crew members fighting the different.
Like
CP9.
Sanji gonna fight Cauliflower or whatever, and he can't like fight a woman, so then Nami takes over, and they all go through there. It's learning experiences. They all have to get better.
Yeah, but first they have that weird samurai dude with the living hair that Nami is.
Well, the first technical fight is Luffy fights Blueno.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's when he goes second gear.
That's the first time you see second gear. Yeah, and you're just kind of like, what the fuck just happened?
He says even in there, like, I've been working on something.
Yeah.
And he's like, I have an idea, and I think this is where I need to try it out.
Yep.
And it's basically described that he can take his body and he turns it into like a pump. And he starts pumping his blood, like his devil fruit power, through his blood, making him faster, stronger, and all that. He's kind of like burning a little bit,
hot or some
steaming, and he kicks that guy's fucking ass with that.
Yeah.
With that power up pretty well, and they're all kind of like, oh shit, like he took Blueno out,
Yeah. Because he was supposed to be physically, the strongest of the CP9 crew.
And he had that the door thing, but Luffy was able to work his way around that.
Turns Luffy's head into a revolving door for a few minutes, and his head, the middle of his face is just kind of spinning around.
Yeah. So that's a good part. You also then quickly, which I was surprised by, he goes from gear 2 to gear 3. Like,
well, he doesn't go, like, he's getting ready to go gear 3, but then Blueno collapses and he stops.
Yeah.
Because my question to you was, I was like, does he just bite his thumb?
And he blows into his hand.
But you don't see that until when he goes gear 3 against Lucci.
He goes gear 3 first to knock that door down.
Oh, yeah. But again, you don't actually see what he does. You just see him stick his thumb in his mouth. And it looks like, the way they draw it, it looks like he's biting his thumb.
I think he does bite his thumb.
Yeah, but then you don't get to see him blow into it until his fight with Lucci.
Because when he breaks that door down, then after he breaks the door down, he turns into a little kid. And he's like, let's go. And he walks in with that little girl, and the other one, they're like, oh, he's a kid.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Gear 3, to me, really is just kind of like, well, I don't know. I guess it is different from 2 because he's not like...
Well, because he makes basically what he does is he makes his fist or wherever the air that he blows into his thumb, like he almost has like Miss Marvel powers. He can like make his fists bigger.
Yeah. He blows it up real big. Which, is there a hole in his thumb then, or does it instantly heal?
Who knows?
And he blows it up real big, so it's just like a big giant Titanic smash,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you start kind of him and Lucci stuff, and all the other fights go really well till all the Straw Hats win. They beat all these guys. I thought Zoro and Kaku.
It takes some effort, though. It takes some effort by all of them.
Doesn't he do 9 sword style in order to beat Kaku?
Yeah, but that's after he uses Sniper King as a sword.
Yeah, which is hilarious.
Handcuffed together.
Yeah. He's like, I am the sword. And then he's like, I'm going to sue you, you lunatic.
Yeah.
Leave me alone. He's screaming at him. That's such a great part. He's like, someone help me. This maniac's using me as a sword. He's like, I'm going to sue you. I love the I'm going to sue you line.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good stuff. But yeah, all the fights go well. You do see Chopper's monster form for the first time.
Yeah, which when I searched, I can't remember what I searched online, but the first thought that went through my head was Chopper just turned into a Wendigo, and I went and looked, and it's online. Most people refer to it as Chopper's Wendigo form, but
it's gigantic. It's even bigger than a Wendigo. It's big as a building.
Yeah, he's huge, but he looks just like a Wendigo with a top hat.
And he's out of control. That's when he eats 3 Rumble Balls.
Yep. Within like 5 minutes or something like that.
Frankie had to tackle him into the ocean in order to like knock him out.
Yep. Because he wasn't coming around. He doesn't recognize anything.
Yeah. He's just crazy. So yeah, there's lots of elements here. They get flooded in that tube, and then you find out that girl, the old lady,
Monster
she's a
Granny.
mermaid.
Yeah,
she's a mermaid, and Sanji, his face when he sees her as a mermaid, because he's been wanting to see mermaids forever, and he's just like, oh my god.
Yeah, well, and then she explains that mermaids only have a tail until they're 30, and then once they turn 30, they get the ability to split their tail so that they can walk on land.
Yeah. I liked her though. I liked that she was kind of like, she was uglier than hell, but like she loved Tom.
Yeah.
She took care of the family. She saves them, gets them out of that tunnel.
Yep. Well, and she's the one that is driving Rocket Man, the train. She brings the train around again right before they get into the tower for their battles with the CP9 guys. Luffy just dive off of that cliff.
He just grabs it. He puts an armor on everybody and it's like, you're all coming with me. Yep. And they all look terrified. So yeah, that's good. I think the end part, another part that's cool in there to mention is when Luffy can't get to Robin, they're going to take Robin through the gate, and Usopp starts picking him off from like a mile away.
Yeah, like way far away, like way too far for a slingshot.
Which he like, but he has Kameto at that time.
Yeah,
but he saves her life, in that point.
Yep. Yeah, Usopp's got a lot of good moments in that.
The other great Usopp moment is when Luffy finally, when it comes down to Luffy versus Lucci, and Luffy feels like he doesn't have enough to get back up. Usopp has the Sniper King mask off and starts yelling for him. Yeah. And then you hear Luffy go like, "Oh, Usopp's here," like and it kind of gives him that like motivation, like, "Oh, my friend's here."
Well, that and Usopp's basically like calling him out. He's like, "You can't let that big ugly idiot knock you down." You're Luffy, the Straw Hat pirate. Like,
I thought you were going to be king of the pirates. What happened to that? Like, kind of talking him up until he fights him. And then he beats Lucha. What's he beats him with? A gear or two, and then he does the Gatling.
Yeah.
Yeah, beats the shit out of him with that, which was a good move. And then another great emotional moment is, there's nowhere for them to go. The Buster Call's happening. They can't get out of there. And then they hear that voice telling them just to jump into the water.
Yeah.
And they're like, we'll die if we jump into the water. And then they all jump in the water, and Mary comes to save them. And you're like, okay, I'm not crying here. You're crying here. And they're like, Mary, you came for us. And I'm like, oh, come on. I'm trying to watch this and not get emotional watching it. She finds them. She saves them. Because you realize in that arc that she has like a spirit. You're choking now. Is this the fucking episode of choking? Me and you are going to choke on drinks. Oh, he hit mute. He's choking to death now. Two old men choking. So Mary makes the big save. Luffy gets just enough energy to throw himself into the ocean.
Yep.
And I like that idea that the boat builds kind of like a spirit.
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense. Maybe not in reality, but in the world of this, that like your ship is part of your crew. And yeah, it was cool to see that, and then she talks to him for like a half an hour.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty funny. So it's good. Yeah, they make it out. They all make it out in one piece, all alive. But I hate how they say goodbye to Mary.
Yeah.
Like they're like, oh, she's sinking. They're like, all right, we'll just set her on fire, let her sink to the bottom of the ocean. I was like, Jesus Christ. Couldn't took her head at least and done something with it. I really felt they should have brought her back to Water 7 and made a monument there.
Yeah, that would have been cool. But in the big ship that Galileo showed up with to save them, it definitely, I don't care if that boat was sinking or not, it would be able to tow.
Yeah, it'd be able to tow Mary.
So
then they get back after that. Everything's kind of chill. Frankie's going to build the Sunny, their new boat. I like he explains it's out of that tree that comes from that island, that really strong wood.
Yeah, and Goldie Rogers' boat was made from the same material.
Yeah,
and
they really up it up. I liked that him and Iceberg are kind of working on the boat together.
Yeah,
when they were brothers. They're all doing that, and now this starts revolve. I like that Usopp starts talking himself up oh, they want me back. They definitely want me back.
He goes through how many different scenarios? Scenario 85.
Yeah, where they're gonna welcome me back. But then this was a big moment for you because then you finally met Garp as his grandfather.
Yeah, well, yeah, he finally introduces himself. Well, he doesn't really introduce himself. He just busts through a wall, beats the shit out of Luffy in 3 punches, and Luffy just kind of groggily looks up and goes, "Grandpa?"
Yeah, and they're like, "Oh shit, Grandpa!" And the rest of them are like, "Holy shit!" And then he announces that Luffy's dad is Dragon.
Monkey D. Dragon.
Yeah, finally you got that, and you were like, oh shit, because you were wondering when Dragon the name was gonna pop back up again.
Yeah, because I'd heard it on, oh god, was it
Logtown?
Yeah, Logtown.
Logtown.
Where they were fighting Smoker.
He saves Luffy.
Yeah, he saves Luffy from Smoker.
I also think he saved Luffy from Buggy.
Because
Buggy was ready to chop Luffy's head off.
And then the lightning strikes.
And I mean, it's a bolt of lightning, which they would know wouldn't kill Luffy because he's rubber, but saved him. I think Dragon has weather powers. At this point, I still don't know if that's confirmed or not, but I think he has some sort of control over the weather.
Okay.
Because that lightning strike was perfect, and then he shows up with all that rain and wind behind him and just grabs Smoker. You're like, oh shit.
This was the point when I met Dragon, when they finally talk about Dragon, and they start talking about him as the most heinous criminal in the world, the most wanted man in the entire world. And that was when it kind of clicked to me, was Jesus, Luffy's from a hell of a family.
Yeah.
His grandfather's one of the 3 top admirals in the New World government.
Not only that, but Garp is known as one of the greatest heroes at time when he was young.
Yeah, because he
may be one of the most powerful. He's a powerful guy that he just never wanted to be a real admiral. He always liked being a vice admiral. He never wanted to promote. And now he's older, but the dude's fucking really powerful.
Oh yeah. Well, there's a scene towards the end of this, but his grandfather's
Chucking balls, chucking
cannonballs.
cannonballs.
His grandfather's one of the top guys in the military. His father leads this revolutionary group that goes against everybody. And when it all comes down to the end of this series that Luffy's going to be king of the pirates. So
he's the leader of the Revolutionary Army, the main antagonist against the military in the world.
Yeah.
Where they're not pirates. Like they're not out to like
because they fight because he fights against, or at least they said he fights against like the warlords and the emperors as well.
Everybody. They really hate the government. Like their main enemies with the world government. Like you know how Usopp in this challenges the world government by like burning their flag? Well, Dragon and the Revolutionaries have been challenging the world government for a long time.
Okay.
Which probably puts Garp in a bad position that his son is out there doing this,
Well, yeah, because then there's the scene where they're fixing the wall that Garp busts through. Yeah. And Garp just blurts out the fact that his son is Dragon and Luffy's his grandson, and the men are like, his Marines under his command are like, what? And he's like, oh, I probably shouldn't have said that. All of you just forget what I just said.
Yeah. And then you meet Kobe again.
Yeah, Kobe, who got quite a glow up.
Yeah, grew up stronger.
And he's badass. He's got, during that fight, he and Luffy kind of spar a little bit.
Yeah, he got a little bit of those 6 powers thing.
Yeah, he's got the shade one that he can kind of teleport around really fast.
Yeah.
And there was one other one that he did, and I can't remember which one it was. Maybe the moonwalk?
Might have been. Yeah, so it's a good scene, and you think it's all like good there until like they go to leave, but we'll get to that in a sec. Frankie joining the team is a hilarious part, especially when they steal his underwear.
Jesus Christ.
And it's his only pair of underwear. Chopper has them in his fucking mouth. I'm like, those underwear have to be disgusting. And then naked Frankie's just, and everyone in the town is like, come on, Frankie. What is wrong with that guy running around completely fucking naked?
Well, no, he's still got his Hawaiian shirt on.
He got his Hawaiian shirt on. I don't know why Frankie just wears underwear and shirts. He grew up in Water 7. And, this scene is really good, though, because, like, when Robin grabs his wiener with her hand to, like, hold him, to, like, make him stop, and they're all like, Robin, and then Luffy's like, what's the matter with you, Robin? You don't do that to somebody.
You're going to make him less of a man.
And then she's like, I let go instantly. And he's just crying because he had to work out his own issues that, he had felt so guilty all these years and everything. And then, Iceberg kind of telling him, like, you need to go with them. Like, you need to have this adventure. You deserve this adventure.
Yeah.
And then I love Frankie's super poses that he does with the hands over his head. And when he does the one, like, on the water, and you see the water coming up and it's just blocking his wiener.
Yeah.
He's doing his pose. And he built him a hell of a ship.
Yeah. Sunny is awesome.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, like, when you look at Sunny, it doesn't look any bigger than
the
Mary.
Yeah.
But you can tell it's a lot fucking bigger.
It's a lot bigger. It just shows you how big some of these other ships are.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit much bigger ship. It runs on cola. It's got the coup de...
Where do you get that much goddamn cola?
It's got the coup de burst. It does its little flying thing that it does.
Oh, that's another thing. You see Frankie's fart power.
Yeah. His cola powered. He's got a lot of different weapons on that thing. But they use the burst to get away from Garp.
Yeah.
Which I really love this scene again because this is like they start to leave and they don't have Usopp. And Luffy's like, well, where's Usopp? And like, he's not coming back. He has to apologize. And Luffy just wants him back. And he's like, that's not how it works. And then when Usopp's yelling like, oh, I didn't know this, and they're not kind of listening to him. And then the boat's getting away, and then he finally starts crying. I'm sorry. Like, it was I was an idiot, and I was too stubborn. And then Luffy just shoots the hand out for him.
Yep.
And he grabs it, pulls him through the battlefield. They hit each other, and they both break out in tears, hugging each other.
Oh, Luffy's just, would you grab my hand already? And he's just already bawling.
Yeah, and then he finally grabs it, apologizes, pulls him through, and then they're just crying. Then Chopper's in with them, and they're all crying. And then Frankie's like, "You guys are the best." He's crying. They're all so emotional. But it's a great scene for Usopp. Like, he finally, because Zoro wanted him back too.
Oh, he did, but he wasn't. He needed to go through that apology.
As soon as he heard the apology, he smiled. Like,
yeah.
All right, there you go.
Well, I think he actually says that's more like it.
Yeah. And then Garp throws that gigantic fucking cannonball at him, trying to kill his own grandson.
Yeah. And yelling at Luffy the whole time for not being grateful and not being a good grandson.
Yeah.
And Luffy's like, "You stupid old man."
Yeah. As he's trying to kill him, they're cutting cannonballs and blowing them up as they're coming towards them. And then they escape, and that was it. I mean, this saga was long, but it has a lot of emotional parts in it.
Yeah. Yep. And a lot of information, a lot of backstory.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this was a really, really good arc.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good. It really sets the tone and changes the game for him. I think it's one of the main ones. Like the East Blue with everything it does, and like even the Alabaster stuff is big for all the Chopper stuff and Robin and all that. Skypiea is like kind of like a little in between thing that happens. Not a lot. Water 7 is big. Same thing with Thriller Bark. Thriller Bark's a filler. I feel it's like a thriller. I mean, there's key things that happen in there, but it's real fast. It just kind of happens. What the fuck is wrong with your eyes?
Sorry, all of a sudden I've got like major allergies, itchy, watery eyes.
Allergy breakdown. And then you'll get into Summit War after this, and Summit War is a fucking slobber knocker of stuff. You're just like, what is going to happen next here?
Okay.
Yeah. It's got a lot to it. But, yeah, your Thriller Bark next. Enjoy Thriller Bark. Enjoy Brook and all that other stuff. It's kind of like a Halloween special, but it's good.
It's awesome so far. I don't know how many episodes. I'm on 355 right now.
Okay. So that's it. That was Water 7. Good stuff. You're moving along. You're almost out of this, the opening here. You're almost to the good parts here. We'll see.
I had to get Funimation because all my episodes on Netflix are done.
Yeah, I am happy that you had to go over to Funimation now, finally. Now you're paying for it. Well, you were paying for it before, I guess, with Netflix.
Yeah,
they're better on Funimation. I'm used to watching Dragon Ball on Funimation. I like Funimation, so yeah, I like the cat in the beginning.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. Well, that was it. Thanks for being on this journey with us. We'll have some more coming up, as I'm sure he'll be done with Thriller Bark in like 2 days here, and then we'll probably be talking again. So there you go. Thanks. Like, share, subscribe, all that other shit. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Later.